Hi everyone, we're going for the second part of our camel project, and at this point we're looking to kind of create the details on our camel. So like we mentioned in the first tutorial for this one, that they tend to have a lot of beautiful clothes, tassels, things like that that decorate them. And so I thought that that would make for an interesting kind of add-on. But before we do that, let's add in the details. So you want to get your color pencils out now, and you want to be working with a black and a brown pretty much for the most part. And what you want to do is you want to always start with the brown first. That way it gives you forgiveness. Again, let's say you added to some place that you didn't really want it, no sweat. You can get back to it. So I'm just working from one side to the other, trying to kind of put in as much of the extra details that I would like to get in for the camel right here. I don't want to really show any of the blacker lines that I drew in. So my first endeavor is to kind of cover them up with a little bit of the brown so it looks a little bit more natural. And there we go. And I like to get in peach color because a lot of the flesh areas that the camels have is a really beautiful soft peach kind of a tone. Again, I'm using Prisma colors like I mentioned at the start of the video, and I like them because I can literally I put down a light peach here and I went over it with a white. So I could really blend it into the level that I would like to see it at versus just leaving a lot of material on a certain part or just not having choices as to how I would like to get this thing resolved. Take the brown again and finite it. And I think I want to get me sort of a mustard base. I found them. Okay, pencil. Is it ever possible to have too many colors? I think so. And again, go over it with the white. The white really just pushes it into the paper. You have to put a little pressure on it, of course, but it just really does a really cool job of keeping things. And then I want to add a little bit of a shadow, but I've turned my pencil sideways like this. And I hold it and I press down. I want a very general kind of application. I don't want it to be area targeted, and this way I can get that done and it would not be too sharp. here, what I was wanting to be able to do is I wanted to be able to put in some tassels. So I'm going to first apply the white, and after I do the white, I'm going to add the tassels again in white. The reason for that is because it will give me a foundation color right there, and when I put my yellows on, they will get in a little bit of a support factor from the fact that I've already put the white on there first. And here we go. And given that I'm getting a lot of conflict with the camel color on camel, I'm gonna add in a little bit of this orange to help break the monotony. And what I will do here is I will add some darkness to the bottom just so as I can get in behind it. Notice how I'm adding a little level of shadow, but not on both sides of the tassels, on just a single side. This is relevant because you need to, in every artwork that people do, they have to kind of showcase their which side the light is really actually falling on. It's not something that they can assume people would figure out. It leaves a deficit in the entire composition when you fail to do that. So you have to, as you start making any composition, you have to show the person looking at your art, and it could be anybody, as to which side captures the light more than the other. That looks more profound. Move on to this. The inside of the muzzle I'm going to make darker and by contrast compared to the outside. And here we go. This is the eye, but you'd never go in with a solid black. Even if you see the eye is black, that's where your skill kind of shows up as to how you decide to capture something that obviously looks like it's black, but then again, it's not really black. So these are things that tell apart strong artist from a normal one. Notice how I picked up the curve of the muzzle over the face of the camel. Very important, otherwise it will look like, well, it's just slapped on and it's not much in it really. I'm going to darken this area a little bit more because it's too close to the muzzle. And once I've gone past the first tassel to the second, I'm going to reduce the intensity a little bit. The underneck should always be a little bit darker. So I put some black down, and now I'm going to just take my brown, and in the way that we just talked about, I want an overall kind of a render that kind of kicks in here. Don't be afraid to cover some of the tassels. They cannot be very bright if you're telling the observer that it's not supposed to be bright, right? So there you go. That's how I would want to kind of complete off this particular rendering. Let's give a little bit more gradients here on the ear because it feels too sharp to contrast right there. So let's create a little bit of a blend. I don't want to go in specifically with sharp strokes, not at all. And there you have it. That's how much shading I would want a student to do at least to showcase what the camel could be like. There is a ton load more that people can do. For example, there could be a chain that attaches to his muzzle and holds him back. There could be an added cloth that would start appearing about here. There are a few options, but we would stop this video at this point and look out for our next tutorial. See you soon.